Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming, more Arc Raiders. Today we're talking the large arc once again, but with a different focus. We've talked about killing big arc with your grenades, with hullcrackers of course, energy weapons, and ultimately what are the best ways, where to target that kind of thing. But what would be the literal, cheapest, easiest way to take down each of the big arc? That's what this video is. So in regards to weapons, my favorite weapons for taking down arc are of course the ferro, which is comically cheap and will get you through everything. You don't even need attachments. The better version of this of course is the anvil. When upgraded, it's going to be able to put out the damage a lot faster, which will really help. So it's up to you which you go for. Alongside that, any other weapon that can deal accurate damage to the now exposed hit zone. So for this, we have all kinds of options. You could pull out one of the medium ammo types. We have the renegade, the osprey, the torrente, and the venator. Of these, I like the renegade the most. When upgraded, you get increased fire rate. So cut back to the way we deal with the matriarch and arc without any technique. This is how we kill them. We strip their armor around the core, and then we focus fire with the highest accurate DPS we can get into the core. One of the best options for that is of course the renegade, because you're able to fire very consistently, but very accurately. So the same concept applies to any of these big arc. The moment we're talking about an exposed special weakness, your heavy ammo option of a ferro or anvil will continue to work. But instead of penetrating the armor and stripping it, it will do its full damage or even a multiplier depending on the target you're hitting, such as a core. But because you no longer need the heavy ammo, the arc penetration, if you have a higher DPS option in your hands for the context, the situation you're in, it's actually better to swap to a different weapon, such as a high DPS upgraded renegade. But other options apply. A torrente, up close, even a level 1, can absolutely mag dump. For longer range accuracy, the osprey is an obvious choice. But let's be clear, you could do this with all kinds of weapons. You could be up close with a venator and absolutely mag dumping ammo into one of these weak zones. If you can accurately fire with a sticher, a burletta, a kettle, even though these are light ammo, when we're talking about a true weak zone, the exposed yellow spot or a core or whatever it is, you're getting full damage because you no longer need arc penetration. That is the core concept of this video then, and why we can do this with weapons rather than needing utility. But there's three main examples of weaknesses that I want to highlight. You have the cores, which are red cores found inside of, well, all of the arc, I suppose. But the ones that it matters for is your queens, your matriarchs, they're obvious examples. But they're also there for Bastion, Bombardiers. And you can actually shoot these while it's active without actually fully exposing the back battery and thereby seeing the back core. When you shoot these, you deal significantly more damage than normal. It doesn't have any armor protecting it. You essentially have a damage multiplier, as shown by this special VFX where sparks come out of it and an audio plays. Have a look and listen. So yeah, that's the tell to know that you're shooting a core and getting really good damage. But not just that. You also have the yellow batteries and joints, as we call them, yellow marked locations. They're actually covered by armor in most cases. Take a Bastion. It obviously has those yellow parts on its knees, but you first have to shoot the leg far enough for that armor to fall off, then actually be able to shoot those joints. But when you do shoot those joints, you also get that damage multiplier and special effect, the yellow sparks and the sound effect, showing that that is indeed a weak spot, just like the core. This means by shooting those joints and yellow spots specifically, you're getting incredible damage, not just when you're shooting an exposed core. Outside of that, you just have the difference between an armored and non-armored target. Bastion and Bombardier, obvious example. Bastion's got this dark heavy metal all over it, where Bombardier is just white and exposed the whole time. It's not an optimal critical zone, but it is easy damage. Light ammo will work. And special points for this exist for, say, Rocketeers, as you take the plating off a Rocketeer on the top, or the armor around the turbines. But this is not a special crit zone, it's just a non-armored zone, let's say that. With that concept in play, let's talk about the first one, the Rocketeer, that gives a lot of people struggle. The best way to take down a Rocketeer is to attack it from the furthest distance possible. This gives it long travel time to actually get over to you. Here is two examples. One where we're killing it with literally just ferros, one where I'm killing it with an anvil on my own. The two options you have for a Rocketeer, in my opinion, are the front two turbines, because it's always going to be facing you, so those are always going to be the quote-unquote easy-to-shoot targets, or it is the white light armor under the heavy armor. You can reveal that with just a couple shots from even any heavy ammo-using weapon. So your choice is to shoot the turbines until you've taken down two turbines, causing it to fall to the ground and explode, or maintain DPS at the sort of head once you've stripped off the heavy armor, and you're shooting the top revealed paneling. In my opinion, I would shoot the center head paneling, remove the heavy armor, and shoot the weak zone above if I can shoot it from a long distance consistently. By the time it reaches me, it'll be black smoke or worse, and so we can easily finish it off by just shooting it. If it's too close or it closes the distance surprisingly quick, I would prefer to shoot the turbine. The reason for that is because once you take down one of the turbines, its flight becomes a bit erratic, meaning it misses shots occasionally, bumbles into things, and I've had it where I've taken down a Rocketeer by taking down one turbine, and then it slammed into a wall or something and blown up. Heavy ammo to take the armor off, and then yeah, heavy ammo to shoot the weak zone and kill it. But if you have a higher DPS option, as long as you're shooting that newly exposed weak zone, you'll be doing full damage and kill it just as quick or faster. Next up, let's talk about the new shredders, which you'll currently find on Stellar Montis, but the way they announced shredders, at least in the original patch notes, made me think that they're going to put shredders on other maps, so it's definitely something to think about. Understanding them and maximizing your ability against them is going to be worth it. Either way, they're basically a thruster with a face, and you want to shoot at the bottom. You'll see around the bottom that they have 3 sort of jets. These exhausts are what you want to target, and when you take them out, basically the shredder loses control of itself. It's hard to take all 3 out, but when you do, it would instantly kill it. But my most consistent advice is to target 2 of them that are facing you. And now that it's sort of flopping around and hard to move, you just focus fire into the main thruster itself, finishing it off when it's smoking, on fire, or whatever. There are better weapons for this though. Heavy ammo of some kind will cause it to flinch and fall over. It's got a lot of stopping power. But interestingly, the shotguns, your vulcano, your toro, these have stopping power too. Perhaps it's the velocity or the amount of bullets hitting it, but these also cause a lot of knockdowns and can control shredders really well. So overall, these are going to be your best weapons for dealing with a shredder, but you absolutely can kill it with light ammo or high DPS options too, with medium. A venator or renegade will destroy it, and even with light ammo, putting those shots into the exposed vents is going to do work. The AoE itself occurs when it has line of sight on you, and it's close enough to deal damage to you, which can be surprisingly far. All you need to do is break line of sight with any object at all. This works with a pillar. This also works by mantling over the side of something, as you can see in this clip. Crazy. I like to bait the explosion by walking into the shredder, then as it begins to activate the AoE, go back into cover behind line of sight. This way it gives me a way to go in and out, keeping it in roughly the same place, preventing it from pushing me and then panic occurring. Okay, next up we have the Matriarch and the Queen. This is honestly quite simple. You have 2 options. You have the parts of the Matriarch and Queen, which are incredibly valuable and easy to access with very low investment. And then you have killing these things. And you can absolutely do both of these things completely solo, but it takes a lot longer to kill it, obviously. In terms of the budget and just getting parts, it's so straightforward. Any part that falls off the Matriarch and Queen can be looted, and this has the relevant reactor inside of it, alongside magnetic accelerators and other valuable parts. With the Queen, you find a nice location where you can be inside a building, so your top is covered from the mortar fire, and it can't stand on you. The Harvester is a great example of this, because it's a pre-built base for this purpose. When in position, focus fire into one of the 2 parts of the Queen's leg. This is the shin or the thigh. Your best and cheapest option for this is going to be a ferro. Anvil will do the same thing but faster. And you can repeat this process for the shin and thighs of all the legs, breaking off the parts until it's fully exposed and there's loads of parts and bits on the ground. Then you stop attacking it and let it de-aggro and start patrolling again, and then go out and safely loot the parts. Or if there's someone else involved and they have aggro, this is your chance to sneak over and loot. The same thing works for the Matriarch. Literally just shoot the legs in the exact same way. But the difference for the Matriarch is the safest place to be is above it. This is because the homing rocket's the only real threat, and if you're above it, you can see them coming and go behind any hard cover to avoid them. Same concept though, stop attacking it, let it de-aggro and start patrolling, and then you go loot the drop parts. In terms of killing either of these, you want to strip specifically the parts around the center core. So for the Queen, that's the 2 faceplates and the 2 side plates around its kind of disc head. Once you've done that, you'll be able to see the core within from a side angle. And then your goal is to accurately shoot that core as many times as you can from that point on. A renegade will work great for this, but you know, a ferro, an anvil will also work. In regards to the Matriarch then, it's even easier. It has 2 faceplates that you can break off and you can see the core from then on. Or when it actually puts the shield up, it exposes them normally and you stand inside the shield and shoot it. Again, the main thing here is just positioning. Next up, let's talk about Bastions and Bombardiers, starting with the Bastion, which is a bit harder, but, you know, less dangerous. It's covered in that armor, right? And the whole point here is that you want to shoot the core. That is the fastest and most effective way to kill this thing. To do that, there is the back battery, which must be fully exploded and destroyed. Then from the back, you get to just see towards the center where the core is. Shoot that just a few times and it's over. Any weapon will work for that, but first we need to actually get it exposed. Thankfully, the yellow battery, or the yellow joints of the legs, these aren't armored parts. So a light ammo gun would do the job. That's what you have in your hands. Naturally, accurate high DPS is going to be the best against a Bastion for this purpose. So while you absolutely can do this with a ferro or an anvil, but you can do this with a venator, you could do this with a torrente, or, you know, kettle, sticher, burletta, these would work as well, as long as we're accurately firing into those yellow exposed points. Now, if you're doing this solo, unfortunately, it's not straightforward because you can't really shoot the back and shoot the core. But if you are solo, there is a way to shoot the core, which is pretty cool. Break a leg, and you'll see that it kind of like lifts its head, letting you see through the legs and up into the core, letting you shoot the core during every leg break CC. This then will be the fastest way to true solo a Bastion. Get its aggro, shoot a leg, and shoot up into the exposed core during the leg CC animation. When it gets up, break another leg and repeat shooting the core as the priority during the CC. Just be careful that, you know, you don't break the leg with like your last bullet and then during your opportunity to shoot the core, you're reloading. Now, if for some reason it aggroes onto anything else, such as another friendly player coming up, or you're doing it in duo trios, it's even easier. The other person gets aggro, and you or whoever shoots the back battery until it completely breaks off. From there, the back is open, the core is exposed for free permanently, and you just shoot it and it's over. Next then we have the Bombardier, which is a lot more dangerous despite the fact that it's not as armored and is more vulnerable to DPS. This is because you've got explosive fire coming your way from above. To fight a Bombardier then, you're going to want to be inside of a building or any scenario where there is cover above your head specifically. This could literally be a broken down building with a bit of roof though, so anything works. CC is your friend against specifically the Bombardier then. As much as we'd like to shoot that back canister and shoot the core, if you're solo, it's not an option. So the best thing you can do against a Bombardier is just break legs. Heavily focused fire with the highest DPS you can get. And this will work with light ammo, medium ammo, as well as heavy ammo, because it's not heavily armored like a Bastion. So we break the first leg by focusing the yellow exposed section on the knee. This CCs the Bombardier, as you know, but then instead of running around the back and exposing yourself as soon as it gets up, you just focus fire into the next leg to break that. This then re-CCs it for the next leg break off. In my experience, 3 leg breaks basically has it on fire, and then any damage into it will finish it off very quickly. So in true solo like this, the best option you have is the highest, fastest DPS, accurate fire into those yellow joints. If you're trying to do this super budget, a ferro will work, an anvil will as well. Finally then we have the leapers, which, you know, you have a lot of options for these, they're really not that bad. The main thing here is to find any location where the leaper cannot fit. This could be, say, one of the tunnel entrances on Spaceport. It could be one of the bunkers on Spaceport, in fact. Any building with a doorway, a house on Bluegate. One leaper spawns on Bluegate on the southwest side, right? And there's this weird sort of land-devouring arc that are no longer active. You can stand in between those and the leaper can't fit through it. I literally killed a leaper with a ferro level 1 doing that. The leaper core is actually covered in armor, so it is a good idea to have heavy ammo something, even a ferro, to expose that. And then yeah, higher, faster DPS into the now exposed core will be your best bet. Literally again, a kettle or a sticher, that will do the job. But super fast DPS of renegade, torrente at that close range, venator, all would work well, if not just continuing to shoot into it with a ferro or an anvil, either way. Focus fire into the core, and that's just a really great way to do it. But if you want to do this really quick, blaze grenades or even cheaper impact grenades will do the job. Blaze grenades will spread fire across the 4 limbs, causing it to freak out and have a hard time moving, which is great. Sadly, they have nerfed blaze grenades. You used to be able to do this in 1 or 2. So it now takes like 3 to 4 to kill it completely from 100 to 0 with just the blaze grenades. However, just 1 blaze grenade will strip the armor, will damage the legs really well. So if you have one, it's a great resource to use to just destroy it, while shooting the core that you've exposed with the blaze grenade. Alternative to that, even cheaper option, is the light impact grenades, which explode in a small AoE, stripping armor really well. So let's say you don't have a ferro or anvil, a couple light impact grenades, that eye core, and then even a sticher or a kettle or whatever you're using, from then on into the now exposed core will do the job really efficiently. So you don't need 4 blaze grenades, and you don't need like 200 light impact grenades. 1 blaze grenade, a few impact grenades, either or, get the armor off and shoot the core that's now exposed, and you get that leaper done really quick. But yeah, there you have it. That's our overview of all the current large arc, and my methods for getting their parts and killing them too, with primarily just guns, and of course with a budget focus. I hope this was interesting or useful to you. If you guys have any other advice to make this as easy and cheap as possible for people, let us know in the comments. Until next time then, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.